All right. I'm going to position things so I can see the chat. I can also see my notes. And we're going to set this up so you can see my screen. So let me share my screen and we will get started. And I hope you're all really excited. I'm excited to share this stuff with you. All right, here we go. All right. Welcome, everybody. So this is going to be a training and a webinar by DoorGrow. That's my company. And we are going to be talking about 7 frameworks. And really, these are going to be 7 growth frameworks is what we're going to be talking about, right? We're going to be focused on growth today and how to grow a property management company. So let's talk about who this training is for. So who this training is for really is for those that do third-party property management. So if you are not a third-party property manager, I probably can't help you. If you're just focused on your own acquisitions or managing your own properties, etc. All right, so we're going to be focused on third-party property management businesses, specifically biz owners. And, this training is also for those that are tired of the BS that exists from promises from marketers selling advertising and lead generation. This is not selling advertising and lead generation. We're going to talk about something better than that. And I know that sounds crazy because you probably think that's the only way to really grow a business. So this is also for those that are, and you're tired of this BS, perhaps because maybe you've tried this. You've wasted money and time trying to grow your business and you did not equal results. So if you've tried other stuff, if you tried a bunch of stuff in the past and it didn't really get you results, let me know in the comments, like say yes or something. So deep down, also this is for you. If deep down, if you're really honest, not what you tell clients and what image you paint to all your friends, deep down, if you're honest, you feel burnout and you don't really love your day-to-day. You just don't love your day-to-day, which means something's off in your business. I love helping business owners get that part fixed. These frameworks have been applied to property management companies ranging all the way from pure startups. I'm having trouble writing that word, but anyway, basically zero doors to thousands. I've helped and worked with clients with thousands of doors. Ironically, these clients tend to see even greater value in what I offer and what I do. And I really love working with those clients. But most of my clients are not at thousands of doors. I do get those though. All right, so let's talk about who this is not for, right? Who is this training not for? So over the next 90 minutes or so, this is really not for you. You should not probably invest this time if you are a know-it-all. Like if you feel like you know everything, it's going to be a waste of your time. It's really not, for those that are comfortable with a sucky business. And, if we're honest, most business owners are probably comfortable. Like their business kind of sucks and they're comfortable with their discomfort. This is really not for those, and which means they don't really want to change because change is uncomfortable. And I'm inviting all of you to get a little bit uncomfortable today. So you don't want to invest time. You don't want to invest time and you don't want to make this your primary focus, which is cool. If property management is not your primary focus, you're like, I just want to focus on real estate, or I want to focus on, my day job and do property management as a side hustle. This is probably not for you because really you're not going to be successful or wildly successful at this anyway. And you're not going to have enough time, focus, and attention on this. And we will talk about that here in just a second, the investment that it takes. All right. Number 4, this is not for you if you're not willing to make dramatic changes. Because if you don't want change, then dramatically different results requires dramatically different change. this really isn't for those that if you aren't a kind person, I don't want you as a client. And this wouldn't, and I don't really care if you win or succeed. So this really isn't for you because I don't want to subject you to my team. I love my team and they deserve better. And then number 6, this real training isn't for you if you have and you're in love with your excuses and your story as to why you can't win in your market. Some people are just in love with the excuses in their story. If they identify with it, they don't want to give it up. And it's hard. I get that that's hard. I can't help you if you're going to fight against me and resist, because you want to keep your story. I'm fighting for you to win. And if you're fighting for yourself to lose, which I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of people are fighting for themselves to stay stuck or stagnant, this is not for you. If you already have a really solid excuse why your business isn't growing and you believe it, then maybe this training will break that down. But you can either have excuses or you can have results, but you cannot have both. You can write that down. All right. So what are you going to, what's the big benefit? Like, why invest, this time here with me? Because we're going to be together for a little bit, a while. What are you going to get? So we're going to cover 7 great growth frameworks. And, in these 7 growth frameworks, these are things that have allowed, like, one of my clients, for example, over the last year to add 300 doors in the last year without spending a dime on marketing, advertising spend, internet marketing, any of that, which would have been impossible really if he had tried to do that. And I'll explain why later. These frameworks are principles where I break down kind of complicated, scenarios or ideas into really simple, easy to digest or palate methods or frameworks so that you can understand this. So this is going to collapse time. You're going to get a wealth of knowledge that takes some property managers years, sometimes a decade, and I'm going to teach it to you here. So my recommendation is take notes. We are going to cover these frameworks. We're going to cover the 5 currencies. Okay. So we're going to cover 5 currencies besides just cash, right? So we're going to cover the 4 reasons for having a business. We're going to cover the 6 core functions. I'm telling you these now so you can make sure you watch for these. We're going to cover the 6 core functions of a business. And we're going to cover the cycle of suck, aka property management hell, and how to escape that, and why most property management businesses suck. Because let's be real, most do. You probably believe all your competitors suck in your market, right? All right, and then we're going to cover the 4 Ds to revenue, because I'm sure you would like to make some more money. And then we're going to talk about cold leads versus warm leads. I'll explain what that means. And then we are going to cover marketing versus a leaky pipeline. So we're going to talk about the leaky pipeline, the leaks. All right, so let's get into this. So the first framework I want to share with you is the 5 currencies. So this is framework number 1. All right, so this is the 5 currencies. So the 5 currencies, a lot of times we focus on cash and we think, the one currency we have to spend is cash, but really we have 5 different currencies. And so I want you to rate them on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being best. Okay. So right now, write these down on your piece of paper or somewhere, and let's rate these. So let's go through the 5 currencies. So first we have time. That's a clock. All right. So rate time on a scale of 1 to 5. Like, how are you doing when it comes to time? Do you have time, and how is time going for you? Do you feel like you have plenty of time, or do you feel like you have a scarce amount of time, or times you're not spending time doing the things you really want, right? Let's talk about next, energy. Go ahead and rate energy. And energy is, everything's going to either add energy to you or take it away. It drains you, the things that you're doing in your day to day. So energy, next is focus, right? So focus or attention. And so if you have lots of different businesses you're running, you have lots of different distractions throughout the day, you get lots of interruptions constantly, your focus is weak. So go ahead and rate your focus or attention in your business. Entrepreneurs are notorious for having a very distracted and diluted focus. Focus, by the way, is the most important currency related to growth. The most important currency of these related to growth, growing your business. All right, number 4 is cash. All right, the one that everybody tends to think about, right? All right, and then number 5 is effort. So I'm going to draw a little emoji guy with the sweat, right? So effort, also known as work, right? Effort. Okay. So these are the 5 currencies. So go ahead and rate these on a scale of 1 to 5. And, maybe you feel like some of these are good and some of these aren't, but this is a lens through which you can view things. Now, like I said, the most important related to growth is focus. And so right now you're going to be this training is free, but it's not really free, right? You're investing time. And believe me, it's worth it if you actually devote some focus and some attention. If not, then you're wasting the currency of time if you're kind of distracted and trying to do more than one thing. So don't half-ass task right now, which is called multitasking, and put down your phone, put your phone on do not disturb. Make sure that you have the attention, because you're going a little bit more attention on this, you're going to get infinitely more out of this training so that you can absorb this. All right. So let's get into why should you listen to me? So this is probably the big question. You're like, all right, why should I even listen to this guy, Jason? Who is he? So let me tell you a little bit about me to qualify myself, because otherwise you shouldn't listen to me if I have no value to add and am not relevant. So, I have helped thousands of property managers. I've been doing this for over 13 years now, since I started my company. I've worked with, like I said, thousands. I talked to thousands of property managers. We have hundreds of active clients right now in various, websites or programs or services, etc. We have 80 to 90. We have about 90 in our mastermind program right now, which I will share more with those that hang out to the end about that awesome thing that we have. And then, what else about me? I have run a podcast called The Door Grow Show, which is just hashtag Door Grow Show, one word. You can find on iTunes or on YouTube, and on our YouTube channel, which is just youtube.com/doorgrow. And we've got tons of case studies and testimonials, and I've made millions. I've made a lot of money in this industry, but I've been doing it by helping people, which is really rewarding for me. And so let me share with you a little bit about me. So my personal why is to inspire others to love true principles. And so what that means is I love figuring out what works and sharing it with others. That's just fun for me. I invest thousands and thousands of dollars a month on high-level coaches and mentors. I've done that for years. Why? Because for me, it helps me collapse time significantly. I'm a firm believer in that. And that's my goal in benefiting my clients, is to help them collapse time and getting great results as quick as possible. I used to be the guy that would try and do it all myself. And I spent years and years struggling trying to do it myself. And when I really started to get really good mentors and coaches, I was able to collapse time significantly. All right. So, our why at Door Grow is to inspire. My why is to inspire others to love true principles, but the why at Door Grow is to transform property management businesses and the business owners. We love creating transformation. Everybody in my team, that's their focus. That's why we do what we do. We want to create transformation, which means we want to change the industry. We want to eliminate the BS, build awareness, change perception, and help the best property management entrepreneurs win, as I say in my podcast intro. All right. So, and what you want you want to win, and you want to make money, and you want to have the life of your dreams, and you want to have a framework we will talk about here in just a second, which is my primary goal. My primary goal for clients is this. And this is the primary goal for me in my own business. This is framework. Number 2, this is the ultimate goal in having a business. I call it the 4 reasons, which really it's the 4 reasons for starting a business or having a company. Okay. So let's talk about the 4 reasons. Okay. I'm just moving my notes. All right. And I'll give you a hint. It is not money. That is not one of the 4 reasons. And I know you think like, hey, the whole reason to have a business is to make money. Really, what you really want and what we all want ultimately is what we think money can give us. So let's talk about the 4 reasons which really set entrepreneurs apart from everybody else on the planet. The first reason is fulfillment, which means we want to enjoy our day-to-day and enjoy doing what we're doing. We want to feel fulfilled, right? The second reason is freedom. So I'm going to sort of do a US flag here, but it's freedom. We want to have freedom and autonomy. We want to be able to spend our day doing the things we want to do. Freedom is a big deal. This is why we go start companies and start businesses. This is one of the primary goals. Number 3 is, we want contribution. We start businesses because businesses exist to solve a real problem in the marketplace, and we want to make a difference. We want to have some sort of impact. To us as entrepreneurs, we see the world and we can see all the flaws and things that are broken, and we believe it can be better, and we want to change it and improve it. And businesses are the ultimate vehicle to do this, the ultimate vehicle. Nothing else is more effective, right? So the most effective vehicle for creating change and contribution in the world probably is a business. And so number 4 is support. So what that means is we need a team. So support. So this is why we create the vehicle of a business. The business allows us to get more support. And without that support, we can't have the ability to really contribute or to have the fulfillment and spend our day living in the plus signs energetically instead of the minus signs. And we don't really feel like we have freedom. We need a really good team around us to support us. And I'll give you a hidden secret. If you are in alignment with these 4 things, like if you have this, then what that means if you have fulfillment, freedom, contribution, and support, what that means is it's possible for your team members to have it too. How many of you have worked for a job that you didn't like, or a boss you didn't really believe in, or been in a situation that wasn't really fun, right? You didn't have fulfillment, freedom, contribution, and support. And most people on the planet, they say they want these things, but they really have what I call the 5th reason. And that is safety and certainty. And so it's important to recognize that safety and certainty is what is for sale. This is what they want. They want safety and certainty. They don't really want property management. Safety and certainty is really what you're selling. They want peace of mind. And the majority of the people on the planet that are not entrepreneurial and not entrepreneurs, this is their highest priority. It's more important than freedom. This is why they're willing to give up freedom in order to have safety and certainty, right? And you're seeing this happen like through the pandemic, through everything else. They're like, let's just make sure everybody's safe. Let's give up the freedom and have safety and certainty. Entrepreneurs, we recognize that freedom and fulfillment, contribution, and support, these are a higher priority than just having safety. This is why we gave up having a job, which seems safe and certain and stable, to go take the risk of starting a business, right? But if you have this, then it's possible for your team members to have this too. And what I've found is, here's the big secret and why this framework is so magical. You will get 3 times the output. 3 times the output from your existing team if you're in alignment with the 4 reasons, which means you're doing the right things in the business and you have these things maxed out. And then your team members can also be doing the right things, and you won't have that blind spot, and you'll be able to help support them, and they will be able to have fulfillment, freedom, contribution, and support, and they will be super loyal, and they will love you, and you will get 3 times the output from those A player type of team members, which means your operational costs will be way lower than most companies out there, right? It'll be a fraction. You'll have much higher profit margin. All right, so that's framework number 2. All right, so if you're tracking with me, go ahead and comment in the comments. If you're finding this useful so far, let me know you're still with me. All right, so let's get into, let's see here. Let's talk about next the 6 core functions. This is framework number 3. All right, 6 core functions. All right, so the 6 core functions is a lens through which you can view your property management business to properly assess what you need to be focused on most right now. So the first is lead generation. Second is nurture. Oops, there we go. Nurture, which is warming up those leads and following up. Third is conversion, which is really the sales process, like how effective you are at closing the deal, getting the contract, and converting them into a client. And so I want you, I'll go through each of these first. The delivery. This is fulfillment. This is doing everything in property management, inspections, leasing, maintenance, etc. Doing property management once they pass that paywall. And then lifetime value, your customer lifetime value, CLV or LTV, lifetime value. This is related to fees, pricing, etc. And the length of retention and retaining clients, how long you keep them on, and decreasing churn, and then financial. This is related to your internal finances. So go ahead and rate these on a scale of 1 to 5. Rate these on a scale of 1 to 5 right now. Write these down. Rate them on a scale 1 to 5, 5 being best. And go ahead and rate these functions. And, real quick, rate lead gen in terms of how many leads you're getting consistently, if you're getting enough leads. Nurture, if you really have good follow-up systems and enough team members and mechanisms in place to follow up and keep on top of all those leads aggressively. And then conversion, if you are really good at closing the deal and you've got enough people to close the deal with all these leads you're nurturing. And then delivery, you're really doing a good job at property management. You're fulfilling, you're taking care of maintenance, and the owners are happy, tenants are happy. And then number 5, lifetime value. You've got really good pricing, good fees in place. You have a long retention with clients on average, like things are good. And then financial. You're getting paid enough. You feel like your business is healthy. You like the money that's coming in. You're on top of the finances. You're aware of what's going on. Cash flow is good. You've got some reserves in the bank, etc. So go ahead and rate these on a scale of 1 to 5. And then go ahead and chime in the chat. Let me know what of those that are here, go ahead and chime in the chat. Which function is your weakest function right now? So we can make sure this is tailored towards you. Go ahead and chime in. Which function is your weakest? All right. Number 1, Paul says lead gen. All right. Go ahead and chime in the chat. All right. All right. We've got another 1. So lead gen, nurture, conversion, delivery, financial. Okay. So my guess is that most of you would probably say that lead gen is your weakest function. And then which one do you feel like is your strongest function? Go ahead and chime in what you think your strongest function is right now. All right. Your strongest function in your business. All right. We've got some closers here with the conversion piece. They feel like they're strong at that. I don't know if there's a bit of a delay here, so I'm hopefully getting the right things. But and then delivery 4. So what's really typical, and if this is the case for a lot of you, what I tend to see is that lead gen is usually the worst, and delivery usually is the best. This is pretty typical I'll see in property management companies. So what I want to point out here is that in the 6 core functions, if you have delivery at a 5 and lead gen is a 1, then continuing to focus on maintaining a high level of service for your clients while you have another function that is a 1 is foolish. It's a big mistake that you're making in your business, right? Because this is where your attention needs to be. If that 1 is on lead gen, you need to make sure that you shift your focus and be willing to let delivery slip. You cannot, what I want to point out is it's impossible on the 6 core functions for all 6 of these to be a 5 at the same time. That is impossible. I want you to recognize that, because if you ramp up lead gen, nurture is going to feel constraints. If you ramp up lead gen and nurture, conversion is going to feel constraints. You might need to add another salesperson or a BDM. If you ramp up the first 3, delivery is going to feel constraints. If you start to ramp up delivery and you hire a whole bunch of team members, you're going to have constraints on your financials, and it's going to be difficult. So you're like, okay, now we need to invest more into lead gen because we're a little team heavy. We have more staff than we need, right? So these are always going to be in flux. Perfect businesses do not exist. If your business, you think it's perfect right now, you probably have a massive blind spot. And so it's important to take a look on a regular basis at your 6 core functions to figure out which of these 6 functions do I need most right now? Which is the priority right now to focus on in the business? Because continuing to maintain a 5 or all your focus on a function that is already doing well is not very smart if you have a weak function that's a 1 or a 2, right? So we need to make sure you shift your focus towards wherever those 1s or 2s are. Because I'll give you a quick illustration to drive this home. So everybody remembers like Indiana Jones, and he was, running, from, I don't know, those are feet, but he's running from the boulder, right? There's this giant boulder. Now this gap in between Indiana Jones and this boulder in business is cash flow. This is expenses. And Indiana Jones' ability to run, his running, is revenue, right? And so if Indiana Jones makes a tactical mistake, if he starts investing his money, his revenue, and he decreases cash flow and closes the gap, if he runs out of cash flow, he dies, right? The boulder kills him. If he veers off to the left or veers off to the right or gets distracted or focuses on the wrong thing, and it's not helping to generate more revenue, creating more distance here to protect him, expenses will catch up. If he's spending money on the wrong things, it doesn't add revenue and it increases expenses, the business dies. Indiana Jones is dead. And so looking at the core functions, focusing on the wrong things and investing your currencies of time, energy, focus, attention, cash, effort, etc. If you're investing your currencies towards the wrong things right now, you are making a tactical error. And this might be why you are struggling in growth. We need to shift your attention and focus. So I hope this makes sense and is helpful. All right. So let's get into let's see. All right, I already mentioned that. So let's talk about the taking on the wrong clients, because this is one of the biggest frameworks that keeps clients from growing. This is framework number 4. And this is the cycle of suck. All right. So the cycle of suck is basically 4 steps. So first, you take on any client. You take on any owner or any client. Second, you then take on any property. And, they might not be great properties. So what basically these are sucky clients or shitty clients, right? Then you take on shitty properties. And then even if the properties are amazing, newly remade, newly remodeled, if the owner sucks, the property is a difficult property for you to deal with, and it becomes a shitty property. Why? Because the owner's going to push back on everything. And then guess what type of tenants you're going to have? You're going to have upset, frustrated, or shitty tenants. It doesn't matter how much tenant screening you do. You could do all the tenant screening in the world, but if the property's bad and the owner's bad, they will become bad for you. And then you become basically a shit shield for a slumlord, right? You're the one that's in between. And then if you have shitty tenants or upset tenants and upset owners and frustrated owners, then you are going to be at step number 4, which is you're going to have shitty reviews. You're going to have a bad reputation. And then guess what type of owners you're going to attract, right? You're going to attract more of those type of owners. And so how do we get out of this cycle of suck? You have to filter, right? So most of you will filter at the tenant level, right? You'll do tenant screening. But I noticed a lot of property managers, it's a difficult lesson to learn. They don't do this early on, but they don't filter and they aren't picky on the types of properties they take on. And even worse, they're not picky on the owners. That's probably the most important step. And then they don't have a system in place to filter out reviews. You have to have filtering at every level. The crux or beginning of sales being effective and having a healthy business is to qualify your prospects. And you have to be picky. The pickier you are, the better your business is going to be. If you are caught in the cycle of suck, you might have 10 times the operational cost of a healthy business. You know that one bad owner could easily, or one really bad property could be at least 10 times the work, maybe even worse, maybe 100 times the work as a really good property or a really good owner, right? So it's important to make sure that you escape and get out of and stay out of the cycle of suck. So this is framework number 4 that's really important to recognize. Now, when it comes to reviews, it's important to recognize if we have, this is a spigot here, right? And water comes out of this, right? So imagine there's a hose connected to this. Well, online reviews are basically like a clamp, and I don't know how to draw a clamp, but here you go, right? Are basically a clamp on the hose, right? And you're hoping to, water your business, and which is, maybe a plant or something, right? So you're trying to water your business. So what ends up happening with that hose is it comes out and it gets this clamp, and you do not get good ratings on things. So you have these bad reviews, 2 or 3 stars, and you're not getting anything out of that. And so it doesn't matter. In the spigot, I want you to be clear on is all the marketing and energy and money and time, all the currencies you're investing into your marketing efforts to feed this pipeline. And so having bad reviews can be very significant. So you want to make sure that you stay out of the cycle of suck for that reason. All right, so let's get into now framework number 5. All right, framework number 5. So for framework number 5, we're going to talk about how to qualify clients. Like, what are the ideal clients look like, and what's a framework for identifying that? So I call this the 4 Ds or doors to revenue. All right, the 4 Ds to revenue. So imagine we've got 4 doors here to kind of represent these. All right, so what are the 4 Ds? Well, they are 4 numbers that when multiplied by each other, they equal your revenue. Okay, so let's take a look at these 4 Ds and what they are. So the first is deals, right? We're focused on how can we get on more deals. Then we've got doors. How many doors per deal are we getting on? And then next is duration. And then last is dollars. So basically, let's say you get on a deal and you get on that deal has 1 door that it comes with, right? Well, if you could on average change this second D to a 2 instead of a 1, you double your revenue. That's how cool multiplication is, right? And then if you can increase the duration from a 1-year accidental investor to a 10-year buy and hold, right? You 10x your revenue in the business, right? And so we want to maximize all of these. We want to make sure we have really good fee structure. We want to have really good duration and decrease our churn rate. We want to be getting on owners with lots of doors and owners with lots of deals. So if we look at the ideal owner will be somebody that's doing deals on the regular basis. And then they probably already have multiple doors, but maybe they're doing multiple doors per deal, for example. And then they are in it for the long haul and they have a lengthy duration, so multiple years. And then they also value you and you have good pricing and they're willing to spend money to maintain that really good relationship that they have with you. That's how you identify your ideal client. So this is the 4 Ds to revenue. What I find most property managers do not focus enough on duration. This is probably more significant. Duration, I think, is more important than deals, but most focus on deals rather than duration. All right, because it takes a lot of effort and work to get on a client, but to retain a client, if you get on good clients and spend your effort getting on good clients that are maximizing this, you will make a lot more money and have a much healthier business that grows. Because imagine if you have a bunch of 1-year accidental investors, you probably have to replace that half your portfolio every single year, which is basically almost impossible to grow. You'll be one of those that in the early stage are stuck at 50 doors forever because you add 50 doors and you maybe lose 50 doors. You add 25 doors in a year and you lose 25 doors in a year and you stay stuck at 50. All right. So let's get into let's talk about how to grow, right? So I'm sure let's talk first about like the problem, like what everybody does to try to grow. So go ahead and chime in the chat some of the things you've tried to do to grow your business, and just throw in some of the things that you've tried to do to grow the business, but we'll make a quick list here, right? So some will do SEO, some will do pay-per-click like Google. They'll do content marketing, like blogging and whatnot. They'll do in videos, they'll do social media marketing. They'll do pay-per-lead. And that means, like APM or Manage My Property or allpropertymanagement.com is APM, those kind of things. So what else? Yeah, direct mail, almost all. Okay, they'll do direct mail, acquiring. So they'll focus on acquisition. I'm probably spelling that wrong. Maybe I didn't. All right, acquisition. And then what else? Franchising. They'll buy into a franchise. And then one of the biggest mistakes is just DIY, right? They just try to do it themselves, figure it out all on your own, watching YouTube videos. And maybe you try to do some of the stuff, but you try and do it all yourself. It's the slowest way to grow. So these really are, if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, these are basically the 9 paths to failure. Now, I'm not saying that none of these can work. All of these can work, but these are really difficult to do. And we can talk about why these don't work well. But basically, if we take a look at these, most of these are, at least these first 5, these are all really internet marketing, right? These are all just internet marketing. And so I'll touch on the other ones and we'll go back to those 5. So first of all, like direct mail, typically 7 touches before they respond. Sometimes people hold on stuff forever. It can be really costly. It could be thousands of dollars to do a mailing out, and you're not going to get a whole lot of immediate response. Can it be fruitful? Can it be effective? Yes, but usually there's a lot of split testing and testing that goes into that, and it's just not very effective usually out of the gate. So generally, you're not going to see too many people succeeding at this, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And there's far faster ways to grow a property management business. The next is acquisition. Acquisition, there's a heavy amount of churn. Acquisition can be really difficult, taking on somebody else's mess, basically. And usually what I see is most of the time, if a property management business is willing to sell a residual income business that's turnkey, that's just making money, and they have a really good team, if they're willing to sell, there's some sort of major problem, typically. It's painful for the business owner. The business isn't being run properly. They're not in alignment with the 4 reasons. The team members aren't in alignment with the 4 reasons. They're caught in the cycle of suck. And so really you're getting somebody else's big pile of problems. And often it's better and faster to just build a business by adding hundreds of doors in just a few years than to go buy one. And it's a lot more profitable. Franchises. So let's talk about franchises. So franchises tend to oversell their markets. They're super expensive, and they tend to attract entrepreneurs. And they also pigeonhole you and bottleneck you into a particular market. And they give you constraints on all of these things as to what you can and can't do, and try to control your marketing efforts. And they don't allow you to just do what it takes to win in a lot of situations. And so I tend to see those that do the best in franchises would have done even better outside of it. And the rest are probably entrepreneurs that were trying to have more safety and certainty, and they didn't want the risk and the greater freedom. And so they opted into a franchise because they weren't maybe true entrepreneurs. And then number 9, DIY. I've seen people just struggle and try and figure it out and try to do it on their own. And they generally stay stuck in portfolios that are maybe around 50, 60 doors. Maybe they could get up to 200 if they're really sharp, but they have to do every single thing in the business, which is wearing every hat. And that's not the point. That's not what's fun. They're not grossly out of alignment with the 4 reasons, and they do not like their day-to-day. All right, so let's talk about these 5 right here of internet marketing and why these are so expensive and why they don't work very well, right? So first, there's kind of the dream. And the dream, oops, I missed the A. There you go. The dream that people have is that they can give you money, and in exchange, a marketer is going to give you contracts, right? They're going to give you these deals back. Like that would be the ideal, right? If a marketer could just say, hey, yeah, give me money and I'll just give you contracts, right? It'd be super easy. That's not reality though. The best thing that a marketer can really give you is an opportunity. And what I call that is a cold lead. That's it. It's an opportunity. And these leads, not all leads are created equal. So, internet marketing is hard. You think you're going to give them cash. You think you're going to get deals in return. Instead, you just get leads. And so let's talk about the myth of SEO, right? Because really, if you look at most of these internet marketing channels, all of these, if you ask why should I do content marketing? Why should I do social media? Why should I pay this? All of this really is there like, so you get seen and are at the top spot on Google. So it all usually goes back to SEO or search engine optimization. So let's talk about the myth of SEO. So first of all, if you go on trends.google.com and you take a look at, and you go back and view the entire history and do a search for property management, look in the entire history, property management search volume for those keywords has not grown since 2004 when they started tracking data. It hasn't grown. And yet competition in this space has increased dramatically. So let's imagine that we take all the rental properties that are available in the US or wherever you're located, and we take a look at this. Here's all of the things that are available. And, right, so we've got all of this that's available, right? Now, out of all of this that's available, and we'll call this, potential. All right, out of all the potential prospects and rental properties and owners that exist out there, let's say there's a much smaller group that, I lost my place here. Let's see here. Why don't these work? Oh, okay, here we go. Awareness. All right. So next is awareness. So out of that, there's only so many that are aware of property management because they're not going to go looking for it online and search for you if they're not aware of property management. So there's not a lot of people that are aware of property management, that it exists and that it's a viable option and that it's something that would be good. So there's a lack of awareness in the industry. So then out of that, we've got even less that maybe are aware, right? So we'll take this, we'll do a different color here. So we've got awareness. And then after awareness, we have perception, right? So out of those, the only people that are really going to look for a property manager maybe are those that think they have a positive perception, because a lot of people have a negative perception. So then they're just looking for, all right, which ones is it actually worth like looking at and talking to? And the perception is bad for the industry in general. Most property managers suck. And most of you probably started your business because you thought most of the property management businesses in your market sucked. I hear that all the time. And you couldn't find somebody else to manage the properties. And you thought, well, we could do a good job and everybody needs us. So there's a very negative perception among those that are aware. And so after perception takes a hit, these are all filters. After perception takes a hit, what's left over is going to usually get captured by word of mouth. So then we have word of mouth that captures what's, sort of, and that captures the best stuff. Like word of mouth captures that. And then after word of mouth, the scraps that fall off the word of mouth table, which are the best leads and opportunities you've probably gotten in your business, what's left over really are those that are searching online. Okay. And that is what's left over for SEO, right? And so this really is the sharks. This is where all the sharks are, in the red, bloody water. Like this is really not comfortable. And this is where everybody's trying to compete and fight. And so when it comes to SEO, let's take a look at this. Like SEO, you probably minimum need to be spending about $2,000 a month. And the big companies in your market are already doing this, I guarantee. Pay-per-click, probably about $1,000 a month just for the ad campaign, maybe also for management, but it might be even more in combination to pay a company to manage it and $1,000 in ad spend, right? And then you have, or you should be doing at least that amount because it's an auction and you're competing, like on Google Ads. Content marketing, some of these companies will charge $1,000 a month to be in their content marketing or social media marketing program, and then pay per lead. You might be charging like paying out like maybe $60 to $100 per lead. And usually all of these feed you cold leads, which suck, right? And this can be incredibly expensive and incredibly costly. And the biggest companies are already doing all this. And here's the hidden secret. Most of these larger companies are losing more doors. They're losing more doors than they're getting on. And so they're down. Like a lot of the larger companies are down about 200 doors over the last couple of years. Why? Because the market's hot and people are selling their properties, right? Now, how do we solve this problem? Like, how am I helping clients add like 300 doors in a year? How is that even possible to add a lot of doors while everyone else is losing doors and they're playing this horrible game of internet marketing and fighting the red bloody water? Well, we need to figure out, how do we compete in the blue ocean, right? 70% are self-managing, and there's only about 30% that actually are under management. So there's tons of opportunity. There's no scarcity in the industry here in the US. If we contrast that with Australia, Australia has 80% of single family residential rental properties managed professionally by a property manager. It's the opposite, right? That there's, and property manager and management's a household word. They have way better awareness, way better perception, and everybody thinks that you need a property manager, right? And so in the US, there's tons of opportunity. And if you can figure out how to tap into that, which is not by looking for the people on Google, because here's the thing, the further they move along this cycle, the worse they get. They get worse. These are the shittiest, coldest, worst prospects at the end of the sales pipeline. All the good stuff was captured by word of mouth. and capture it early in the sales cycle. And so the secret to growth is figuring out how do we capture the people that are not looking for property management, because the people that usually are looking for it are in some sort of big pain or big problem, and they have big red flags, and they're probably not the people you want to take on. And doing all this internet marketing stuff is incredibly expensive, and it's really hard to offset the acquisition costs of these. On average, just on pay-per-click, you're lucky if you can get an acquisition cost of $800 per deal. That's like good, right? And so the acquisition cost is really high. So what if I told you there you could spend $0, invest time, of course, but it takes less time, and you would add more doors more quickly, and it takes less time than dealing with these type of follow-up and these type of leads to close the deal. I know it sounds crazy, but this is one of our big secrets. So let's get into this. All right, so let's talk about how to grow. So let's go to framework 6. All right, so framework 6, we're going to talk about another myth, but this is going to be about, and the myth is that you just need leads. Everybody comes to me and they're like, Jason, I just need more leads. If I just had more leads, all of our hopes and dreams would come true. All right. And the reality is you don't just need any leads. You just don't, that's not the reality. So we're going to talk about cold leads versus warm leads. Okay. All right. Cold leads versus warm leads. All right. So what's the difference between cold lead and a warm lead? Well, there's some big major differences in cold leads versus warm leads. So let me move this over. All right. So some of the big differences are, whether the big difference, what defines whether a lead is cold or whether it's warm is whether they know you, trust you, and like you, because sales and deals happen at the speed of trust. And so if they don't know you, trust you, or like you, they are a cold lead. And that means you have to nurture them, that second function. You have to nurture them and warm them up. And so on the cold lead side, they are price sensitive. On cold leads, they're more price sensitive and they're skeptical because they don't trust you. It's a lack of trust, right? So we're going to look at both sides of this. And then on the other side of this, they know you, or they trust you, or they like you, right? So the second thing is the close rate. The close rate on cold leads is typically worse. It's less than 10%. That means if you got 10 cold leads that didn't know you, trust you, or like you, and they came through all those internet marketing channels, you would be lucky to get one of those deals on. Whereas on a warm lead, word of mouth, go ahead and put in what your close rate is if you get a referral or a word of mouth lead. Go ahead and put it in the chat what your typical close rate is for a warm lead. All right, so for most, you're going to hear that it's like at least 70%, typically. I hear a lot of people brag and they say, oh, it's like 90% for me, right? So it's almost the opposite. All right, so third is time investment, right? So the time investment, typically I hear that it takes 3 times the amount of time to nurture and follow up and investing time in this. So, right. So that's one of the currencies is time investment. Typically I hear like 2 to 3 hours. And then on this, I'll hear maybe 15 minutes, or like if it's really hot or warm, they're like, hey, I trust you. Steve said you're the best. I'm ready to sign up. I've already looked at your website and saw your pricing. I want this plan. I'm ready to go. Or maybe up to maybe 2 hours, but usually it's like a third or a fraction of the time. Number 4 is the speed. So this is like, it takes a lot longer. These might be tire kickers and time wasters. They're colder leads. I'm doing research, but so sometimes it might take months. You've had those deals that just seem to drag on for months or weeks. And then on the other side here, this might just be days or maybe up to, weeks, but it's going to be a lot. You're going to be able to move the needle forward a lot faster. And then number 5, in terms of cash, right? Money, This costs, we already talked about this, but this costs thousands to generate this business. It costs thousands. And over here, this really costs $0 to really, if you do it correctly and to focus on warm lead generation. Okay, and I'll tell you some ideas on how to do that. All right, so if you want to test out, if you're doing internet marketing currently and you want to test this out, I have a calculator you can go to, which is at doorgrow.com/cold leads, right? doorgrow.com/cold leads. If you go to that, there's a calculator and you can kind of calculate what your acquisition cost is and what it really costs you cold leads based on the time spent, what your time is worth, what the acquisition spend is, the ad spend, like all this. It'll help you figure out what your true acquisition cost is on cold leads instead of your warm leads, right? So of course, HTTP. So go to doorgrow.com/cold leads and you can test that out. You write that down or you can check that out later. All right. So the next thing we want to get into is framework 7. And for framework number 7, we're going to talk about pipeline leaks. All right. So let's talk about some buckets. So when you are investing in your business and you're investing in marketing, etc., whatever you're doing, you are going to be investing the currencies of time, energy, cash, effort, your staffing and resources, right? You're investing all of this stuff into this pipeline. And so this is a spigot here, and we're going to put some water into this first bucket, right? And this first bucket is marketing. And so you're going to invest into this marketing bucket all of these things: time, energy, focus, cash, effort. I forgot focus. Here we go, the eyeball. And there you go. So, and then out of this bucket, you're going to be able to, you're going to invest. Then from that, you're going to get some flow that goes into probably your website. And so it's going to go into your website. And the next bucket is you're going to get some leads, and that's going to go into your sales process. And then that bucket is going to feed into delivery and fulfillment, right? Fulfilling on what you agreed to do for them. And then that's going to feed into another bucket here. But this one really is your business. And you are hoping that this business can generate some fruit. That's an apple there. Can generate some fruit and that you can eat, right? Or feed your family, right? And so that's the idea. So we've got you and the biz, right? And so what ends up happening though is all of these buckets are leaking. And what are they leaking? They're leaking your time, your energy, your cash, your effort. Your website could be leaky. You can test that. If you want to reveal a massive blind spot, go to doorgrow.com/quiz and grade your website. Your sales process and the marketing and lead gen is probably massively leaky. It's definitely leaking a lot of money. And then your sales process might be leaky. Maybe you're not super effective at closing and you're not getting on all the deals. You have a lot of leads, but not a lot of deals. And then you've got delivery and fulfillment. Maybe you've got a weak retention, or you're not keeping a lot of clients, or you could have a lot of clients selling off or have some sort of issue there with the longevity. And then your business, this tree is struggling to grow. There's not a lot left over. There just isn't a lot of flow here that's getting it to here. And so this is struggling, which means you really don't end up getting to eat and feed your family, and you aren't really being taken care of, right? All right, so that's the pipeline leaks. I just want to expose these leaks, that if you can go through your pipeline and shore up all of the leaks, and there's lots and lots of leaks that we help our clients in our mastermind shore up and figure out, including their website, including their lead generation strategies, including their sales process, including their operations, including their team and staff, which could be a massive leak financially, right? Lots of money. we can help support you in all of that. So it's important to understand that there are leaks and blind spots in the business. And that's why you're not able to take what you have left over, and normally you would then reinvest it back into this machine, right? You would get something out of the business and you would reinvest it back. You'd have that time, energy, money, or whatever you could reinvest back into the business to buy more of these currencies, to invest more into the business so it can grow. All right. So let's talk about, we talked about the blue ocean. Let's talk about the top 3 strategies that we focus on at DoorGrow for growth. So this is probably something you're really excited about. Like how do we grow? How are you growing doors, and how do we do that, right? Well, we want to focus on avoiding this and going after this right here. We want to focus on avoiding this myth, this dream. We want to focus on avoiding these 9 things. So what do we do, right? And how do we like generate more warm leads, right? So let's talk about top 3 strategies. So strategy number 1. All right. So strategy number 1 is Outbound Partner program. So this is, a lot of you get referrals, but what we've engineered at DoorGrow is, this is one of our top strategies, the fastest way we know to grow. This is how John B. in Boston, one of our clients, added, he went from 80 doors when he signed up in November, just over a year ago, to he's at 310 doors last time I checked in with him. So in about a year, he's added over 300 doors, right? Just using this strategy alone. That would be impossible no matter how much money he spent on ads and advertising and how many leads he got. It would be impossible to be able to deal with adding on that many doors that quickly. Just the follow-up time alone on cold leads would have made that impossible. This took way less time, and he was able to add doors far more quickly because they were warm leads, because those take a lot less time. And guess how much it cost him? It cost him $0, right? He paid to be in our program to learn that, but really he didn't have to spend anything on the acquisition costs except time. And he did. He invested time. That's a clock. All right. So number 2, and most referral strategies and things that people implement don't work. So we have we have a whole training on that and a focus on that. And there's a lot of really cool ideas on how to build out a really effective partner program. This is an outbound program in which you're generating a lot of referrals and partners referring business to you. And it's actually a lot easier than people realize. And then the next is reputation secrets, right? In online reviews. So this is a strategy of warm outreach to get more online reviews, which creates warm leads and is better. Being the best reviewed company in your market is better than having the top spot on Google. It feeds you more warm leads. This is how one of our clients, Will and Robin, in California, went from being at 60 doors to about they were over 200, I think, in just a year or two. Like, they grew really, really rapidly. And it was primarily using this strategy. And so it's very easy for clients to add hundreds of doors. This one only works if you've gotten some flow first. Like, you need to have a business in which you are getting on some business so that you can convert that business into reviews. You have to have tenants and owners coming in. So that's a really great second strategy. And the third strategy is authority marketing or targeting groups. And one of our clients, Sterling, he went from being stuck 3 or so years at around 50 to 60 doors to being at 300 doors in 6 months after we launched his website. And he used this strategy. And so this targeting groups can be very effective. And so again, this really goes back to one-on-one strategies and can be even more effective with that. So these are top 3 strategies that we get into in our mastermind program. So, all right. So I think, did we cover, we covered all 7 frameworks. So, and I shared with you our top 3 strategies for growth here. So what I'd like to do is, we're at the hour mark. We're basically, I've covered all of the major things in the training. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, if you are interested, the only people that watch this entire training are qualified to be a member of our Door Grow and Scale Mastermind. We're really picky, as I coach all my clients to be, in who we bring on. So I want to tell everybody here about our mastermind program, the Door Grow and Scale Mastermind. So Grow and Scale Mastermind. And cool. All right, so let's talk about the Door Grow and Scale Mastermind program and what that entails and what it includes, right? And if whether or not you'd be a good fit. So in the mastermind program, we have what are called the 3 paths, depending on which of the functions right now is weakest for you. And usually when people come on, the first is the Grow program. We're going to focus on just adding doors and getting you paid, because we want to make sure the program pays for itself. So our first goal is to get you money and get you paid, so that we want to double your residual income, get you double the residual income of what our program costs monthly within the first 30 days, so that you feel like the program is paid for, and not just paid for, it's double paid for. It's not just offset equally, it's paid for times 2, so that you feel like you can justify being in the program, and your spouse or business partner doesn't think this was a bad idea, right? We want to keep you forever as a client is the idea. So we want to first make sure the program's paid for. So this is kind of the first thing we'll focus on. And then and so we're going to get you adding doors. We're going to focus on those 3 strategies and get the momentum going and get you paid. Once you hit that initial goal, so that you have the program paid for, the next thing, then we will shift you to one of the other 2 programs. So the next is Seed, and then the third is Scale. All right, so in the Seed program, we are the world's leading property management, branding, and design agency. Nobody does more rebrands than us. We've rebranded hundreds of companies. We're really good at logo design, helping to optimize the brand. You could be losing out on 50% of the deals and leads that could be coming to you right now just because you're branded as a real estate company, which is pretty common, and you're not branded as an expert in the niche that they're looking for. So we help companies clean up branding, help them figure out how to do that, and we help them with the print collateral. So branding, print collateral like business cards, postcards, yard signs, etc. And we help them also with their website. So we have pre-designed seed sites, these templates that we can launch really quickly. Once we have everything we need from you, we can launch related to the website, all the content items, the images, the stuff that we need to build it, your pricing table, and all this stuff. We can launch the website really quickly. So in this, we also help you optimize your pricing, because we want to make sure that that's on your website. So I've never had anyone come to me with really great pricing. So we're able to help you close more deals at a higher price point. So you're going to make more money more easily and be more profitable. So we focus on branding, website, pricing in the Seed program. Really what this does is this adds speed to your growth. This builds the engine, and then we're going to optimize it and build the speed. And then eventually it gets painful, right? You've got too much business coming on. Your weakest function will then shift to being delivery and fulfillment, and fulfilling on contracts, not the 4 reasons version of fulfillment. And so you then need to scale. And so we're focused on operations. One of the biggest bottlenecks is hiring and getting really good team members. And most do not know how to do that effectively, based on personality assessments and based on good copywriting, on sales related copy on your job descriptions and stuff like this. And so we focus on a hiring system called Door Grow ATS, which is an applicant tracking system. We'll help you implement this software system. Will help you implement Door Grow OS, which is an operating system that is better than EOS or Traction, if you've heard of those kind of things, which has some fundamental flaws. nobody tends to follow it fully for that reason. So we get into what else do we do in the scale program? And we focus heavily on the 4 reasons, like how to move you closer and closer to maximizing the 4 reasons. So you're really enjoying your business in the day-to-day. So that is the scale program. So we have those programs. So this really is more about like offloading and improving your life, right? Okay. So I think, and I'll point out, I'm going to touch on this because everybody gets really caught up on this stuff. You don't need any of that in order to grow your business. You don't need a cool logo. You don't need a cool brand. You don't need a cool website. You don't need some unique pricing. You don't need print collateral. There's only one thing that you need in order to grow a business. One thing. There's only one thing you need to have a business that's growing. And what do you think that is? It's not business cards. It's not a website. It's really kind of stupid and simple. It's clients. And we can help you get clients. So we want to focus on getting clients first before we focus on, some of the other ancillary things. If you need money and your weakest things are financial and lead gen, we want to get you paid first. So let's focus on that. And then after maybe a month, 2 or 3, it might make sense then once you hit your goals to focus on, and you're growing fast enough and you've got that system built and in place and that engine is running. Now you just need to put a little fuel in it regularly, and let's focus on the seed program, which it's the seed because it lays the ultimate foundation for the business. And we're going to grow that into the right thing. We're going to build the right front end for the business, the right sales pipeline. And we're going to optimize that so that we shore up all the leaks that exist in your leaky pipeline so that goes faster. So that is the 3 paths that exist in the program. So now what is included? What do I get? What do I get by being in the Door, Grow, and Scale Mastermind? So I mentioned some of the things above, but we have weekly coaching calls. Those are run by me. So we weekly coaching calls, and my team members are on those as well. And we have lots of really awesome, it's weekly group coaching calls. And so that's with the group, with the mastermind. And we have different calls for different focuses for those 3 sort of different programs. And then we have also one-on-ones with me. You get access to one-on-one coaching with me to help you move forward, go deeper, maybe on some of the more intimate or private stuff that you don't want the group to know, but we get into one-on-one coaching. You also get a client success manager. We have an awesome client success manager. It's following up with you. And really the benefit of that is it keeps you accountable. We have assessments so that you can quickly assess your business and grade your business and get clarity. I call them clarity assessments, to get quick clarity so you have really good decision making so that you are Indiana Jones, running from the boulder. We can make sure that you are increasing that gap and making the right decisions tactically. And then we also have in the program, we use an app called Telegram, and you get walkie-talkie access basically to me and my team members that are experts in various areas. And so to communicate with us and with other team members or other group members in the mastermind, you can send me messages day or night, and I get to them, in my off moments, which is really cool. So to answer questions. And then you get really well supported. And then we at Door, Grow are operations experts. We have the ultimate operating system. So helping you with operations. I mentioned a website is included once we get to that part of the program, or when you want to shift to the seed program, which I usually recommend after you're making some money. And then you feel like the program's paid for. And then we also have the Door, Grow ATS and hiring systems to help you avoid costly mistakes. One of the most costly things in a business And then we also have like reputation software, Gather Kudos, which you can check out at gatherkudos.com if you just want to just get that software, which you can do, anyone can do. But we also have reputation strategy and stuff like that related to that. So that's just some of what's included in the mastermind. But our goal is to help clients win and move you towards those 4 reasons. Now, let's talk about whether or not you are going to be a good fit, because we don't take on every client. So let's talk about some of the requirements to be a member of the Door Grow and Scale Mastermind. So first, we have what we call the 3 commitments. And so the first commitment that's required in joining the program is in the beginning. If you're focused on the growth stage and that's your biggest pain point, and we're going to put you down that path first, which means you're probably under 200 doors. If you're over 200 doors, you might start on the scale program first, but you need to build that engine. And so you need to be able to dedicate 20 hours in, 20 hours a week. That is a half part-time job. What that typically looks like is maybe 5 hours on Saturday and Sunday. If you really just don't have the time during the week because you're doing other stuff, and maybe then 2 hours each weekday, which mean like 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon to do implementing the strategies that we would give you to focus on those top 3 strategies to grow your business. Once you've kind of built that engine and you've hit your goal where you've double offset the cost of the program, then your minimum you want to keep at least active, just keep fuel in the tank, would be 10 hours a week. So you don't just shut off your lead generation completely. The second commitment is is to attend the weekly calls. You really just need to attend one, and that is the one that's most relevant. So in the beginning, it's going to be our new client call, and that's an hour, and it's a group call, and it's motivating, and I can help you get unstuck and answer questions and support you. So 1 weekly call. And the third commitment is 1 hour of strategic time in the morning. So, and this brings up something else I left out. This is where you're going to be watching videos in our platform, Door Grow Academy. Door Grow Academy. We have a bunch of trainings and videos and material to help you focus on all this stuff to collapse time. And so 1 hour in the morning, focusing on strategic time, which is planning, etc. Strategic time is what grows companies. Tactical time just keeps them alive, right? And so we need to get you acting like a business owner and planning, scheming, and learning, and focusing on doing something strategically in the business instead of just being your best employee working in the business. We want you to work on the business, right? And so strategic time. So these are the 3 commitments. So you need to be able to invest the time, attend a call, and make sure each weekday you're investing an hour of strategic time in the business if you want it to grow. Now, can somebody else do this? Maybe if you have some other team members, they can support you on this. Maybe hitting that 20 hours means having a setter or an appointment setter or an assistant, doing some of the work for you, or some of the follow-up or some of the outreach. But you want to make sure that you're able to hit these things. And so it's not easy, but it's easier than doing cold leads, because cold leads would take way more time. And this is how clients are able to add hundreds of doors, is by focusing on the right strategies to collapse time that we give them so they don't waste a lot of time, and then coaching them to optimize and improve that quickly. And you'll get better and better and better at this over time. And once you build a really effective engine, you'll be making a lot of money and adding a lot of doors, and it'll be a lot easier than you probably could imagine. All right. So those are the 3 commitments. The other requirements are you need to fill out the application. So if you are interested in this, you need to go to doorgrow.com/apply. Go to doorgrow.com/apply and fill out our application to see if you might be a good fit and apply, and we will get you on a call, and it'll allow you to schedule a call with our sales team so that they can assess whether or not you'd be a good fit and help you, answer any questions you might have about the program. And they'll go over pricing and everything else. So what else did I miss here? So let's talk about some of the other requirements. You need to be serious. I mentioned this before, but this property management needs to become or be your focus while you're working with us, not a side hustle. Not that you can't do this if you have a day job. You can't do this if you're going to focus primarily on your real estate business and you're hoping you can just offload this to an assistant to do. It's not going to work. This is eventually that could work, but we need to build the whole machine and build the engine, and we need you involved because you're highly adaptable. You're an entrepreneur and you're going to move this forward a lot faster than anybody else on your team. And you know that. So you need to have money. Our program is not cheap. It is not cheap, but it is absolutely worth it. And it will save you a lot of time wasting and a lot of money. And it's a lot cheaper than what other people do on the internet marketing stuff that I pointed out, or focusing on franchises or any of that other stuff. And then those are all really expensive. So let's then shift to, you need to not be a tire kicker or time waster. We have a no-show policy. So if you do schedule a call and you do not show up, you will not be admitted into the program. We spend hundreds of dollars in marketing, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in marketing on a monthly basis. And when people don't show up, that's really costly for us. And so those are not going to be people that we are interested in working with because they don't keep commitments and we can't really support and help them. And then you need to also be, you need to be the number one in the business. You need to be the primary decision maker. It's really difficult to help anybody else on the team. And usually we need the decision maker because we're going to be making significant changes, and which means that you're not an employee of a property management company. If you are, and you're watching this, you may need to convince your owner that they should do this and work with you. So this should be your primary focus, and which I mentioned. All right, so that's it. So make sure you go to doorgrow.com/apply, and we will get you. We'll check you out and get you into our program. And hopefully this has been really informational. This has helped you understand a lot about why you've struggled to grow your property management business, and helped you to understand how DoorGrow can help you and how what we're doing is really unique, because what we are doing is we're helping you focus on capturing people earlier in the sales cycle before they become really price sensitive. And so they're less price sensitive. We're helping you increase your close rate by focusing on the 70% that are self-managing and managing. I'm just going to shorten it. And, we're ticking all of these boxes in our program. And this is why most strategies aren't working, right? Capturing them earlier in the sales cycle, decreasing the price sensitivity, and getting warmer leads where the close rate is like 90%. And so this helps you collapse time significantly. And so you're saving a lot of time, and you're also spending way less money. And so hopefully this gets you really excited, and we're talking soon. So go to doorgrow.com/apply. And until next time, everybody, to our mutual growth. Bye, everyone.